Ladies and gentlemen, today's review is going to be for the album Relapse by none other than the worst rapper in hip-hop music, Eminem. Eminem is a rapper from Detroit, Michigan, the baby diaper compactor of America. Detroit has to be the worst place in the face of the earth, for that matter. There was once a time that I had the displeasure of taking a connecting flight from that airport, and there was some man in his 60s who had some sort of tumor in his groin. In the airplane, the man had the seat in front of me and he did nothing but fidget in his seat, sniffle, cough, and make noises throughout the whole 3-hour flight. Eminem fans have to be the worst fan base in the planet. They are so retarded and trashy, you wonder where they all come from. Most of his fans are white, because he himself is white, and as a hip-hop rapper, the commonality of that is close to zero. This doesn't include any other faggy rappers, like in Linkin Park, for example. Eminem has got to be one of the most beloved recording artists among many of the students who I went to school with. In about half of the social groups at my high school, there were always handfuls of people who adored Eminem. It was so disheartening to see how basic they all were. To make matters worse, they all spoke the way he did, or had that ghetto inner-city white person accent, all because they wanted to grow up to be just like Eminem. I don't think that will happen to any of those types of people from my high school, because the town and county I grew up in is tame as a garden gnome. He often uses homophobic slurs, but this is clearly to compensate for the fact that he's an extremely big faggot himself who spends lots of his free time trying to catch the leftover droplets of cum shots of his numerous other black rapper peers, like he's playing Beat 'em and Eat 'em on the Atari 2600. People claim he has the best lyrical flow of all time, but really, all it is just him incessantly on the verge of saying the N-word. His new album is an unadulterated pile of shit. Despite having limited familiarity with his discography up until this current point in his career, I can just tell that this album has very little to bring to the table when it comes to lyrics and music. First off, when I first saw this album cover, I thought it was a collage portrait of Eminem made up of ladybugs swarmed inside of a man's anus. But on second inspection, I saw that it was actually a portrait collage made up of various pharmaceutical pills. Because it's an album about narcotics addiction. Can it get any more predictable? And couldn't the person in charge of the cover photo have picked a different headshot? He just looks like a whiny bitchy little teenager. This album details his lack of grappling of a narcotics dependency. However, he never says anything insightful or redeeming about the matter, amounting this telling as a redundant mess. Just as uninspired as his annoying LP rapping style is, the backing music and beats to these tracks are all musically tepid, and the few hundred or so producers of this album just deploy some overly sheen console flexing and editing to disguise this lack of musical palette. In the second track, Eminem reveals his pedophiliac attraction to Hannah Montana, otherwise known as Miley Cyrus. In track 3, he bitches about his mother being a drug addict, blaming her for his narcotics addiction. How irresponsible of Mr. Slim Dicky that is. It's his own fault for choosing such a horrible and life-compromising career, because, as everyone knows, if one wants to become a rapper, they need to drop at least 20 IQ points in order to submit to certain decisions and camaraderie with your fellow associates. This includes taking weird and dangerous illegal drugs, which up to half of the hip-hop audiences are into. This doesn't include marijuana. He doesn't even sound like he gives a shit about what he's saying, especially with the horrendously uninspired melody for the chorus. Seriously, who in the name of fuck is he trying to sound like here? It's got to be the poorest attempt at an Indian or Middle Eastern accent ever committed to a musical album. The next track, Insane, tries incredibly hard to be edgy and shocking. It's about him being an abusive asshole to his family and doing a whole bunch of shit that would get himself killed instantly. It's actually a big fucking bore, and I can hardly remember what the thing sounded like. Bagpipes from Baghdad comes next and has a generic bagpipe melody looped throughout the whole song until your eardrums have been eviscerated and you feel a nagging burn on both sides of your skull. The same murderous psychopath theme carries on into this track as well, but it has yet to strike the listener as interesting or clever for that matter. Just look at some of these lyrics and try not to fall asleep. In the bed with the brain-dead lesbian vegetables, I bet you they become heterosexual. Nothing will stop me from molesting you, titty fucking you till your breast nipple flesh tickles my testicles. Is what I said to the two conjoined twins. How's it going, girlfriends? You needs a boyfriend? You need some ointment? Just set up an appointment. Slim Dicky. Get a job, you whack job. Here are the lyrics to the track below. And they are ingratiatingly stupider than George W. Bush this time around as well. I rap tat tap in your door with a damn ratchet attack tacking on or with a damn hatchet. A knapsack packed with like 40 some Xanaxes shorty. Come back, I'm tryna score me some lap dances. I'm about to relapse, so, baby, pour me some Jack Daniels Formula 40 40 and 40s with bad capsules. The bad apple spoils the bunch. I'm back again. Most of the time, I feel sorry for this stupid bastard. Jumping over to the 9th track, There Is We Made You, the second leading single that was in promotion of this pitiful record. In contrast with the rest of the soundscapes in this album, the chorus with this charming trip comes off incredibly out of place and its instrumental backing is unimaginative and generic. Her voice is very unsuitable for the hip-hop genre. The glockenspiel shouldn't have been added. And it's swanky. Why? Do any of the founding godfathers of hip-hop have this level of a swank in their sound direction? Yet again, like with all the other various new pop albums these days, this is Eminem's turn at delivering a little homage to eclecticism in attempt to put up a moral guard against the creeping infinite darkness of the underground, non-radio airplay musicians in the world. As repetitive as it is, he keeps making mentions of various narcotic drugs just to bolster the album's theme, but at this point, halfway into the album, I couldn't care any less. Then there's the repetitive fawning over these celebrity women and he's unable to help himself from adding insults to them in conjunction to the verses of lusting. There's the track Deja Vu which once again, has shitty lyrics. There's many depictions of things that people with class have no frame of reference for. Well, what a shitty home life that is, you degenerate. He references to hiding some drug in his VCR. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I thought this was supposed to be the late 2000s. You're a rich and famous superstar rapper. What are you still doing with a VCR? He makes it sound like he lives in that same house that he lived in the movie 8 Mile. He should have way more than enough money to be regularly purchasing a Blu-ray movie collection, even an HD DVD collection, if he was special enough. That line doesn't fit in with today's lifestyle, Dickie. Like with the other tracks, the snare beat is too loud and there's that obnoxious implementation of these gratuitous strings placed at the end. If that isn't unfitting enough, there's an added electric guitar lick at the end for more watered down bravado exasperation. The special little ballad of the album is beautiful, where he haphazardly writes verses to suck up to his embarrassed daughter, whose name is Haley or something. It's overlong and repetitive. It doesn't tear-jerk, like it's intended to. It's about as tear-jerking as him jerking off in his mother or daughter, or wispy father's face. Crack a Bottle is a complete bore. It makes me think of private schools in which the kids wear uniforms and those boring Nickelodeon and Disney Channel shows like Doug. Really, I hadn't even found out the name of that show until somebody blatantly pointed it out to me. How can those cartoonists make a show look so fucking boring looking? Well, the sound in this song is pretty much what Eminem emerged from. The turn of the century was just as bad for mainstream music as it is today. Holy shit, what an excruciating listen his so-called sobriety album is. 76 minutes to explain to the listeners that he's relapsing on drugs, but nowhere in this album does he clarify why. Why did he relapse on his silly little drugs? Perhaps it's all an act just to restart his career and boost record sales, because remember, the one thing these record companies are willing to murder their own family members over is none other than their first blood relative, money. And as it has always ensued, preteens and teenagers all around this suffering country will lick this album off of store shelves and snort it from their iPod earbuds by download, or tore it, because doing so won't do a damn dent in this motherfucker's career. They will listen to this album all year long and arrive to school, looking like a pale clown, looming around the hallways in an effort to make all the good students vomit up their breakfast, fuck around in class, get straight D's and F's in their schoolwork, do stupid shit, like get up from their chair in the middle of a test and start spitting lyrics to their anemic Ticonderoga pencil in their desk, looking like they need to take a trip to the special education classrooms. Dear wooden lord, Eminem fans are numerous. They are worse than herpes, HIV/AIDS, and gonorrhea, etc. They are worse than a bedbug infestation. I am so grateful I've never seen one of those disheartening things inside my own home. Fuck Relapse, aside from the Disney Channel Music Stars releases, it was the worst album of 2009.